want to welcome you all in regards to this webinar on protected leaves. My name is Tony Shibayama from S&K, and we'll be going over the information for you today. Again, the slides have been attached to GoToWebinar, so hopefully you can tag along and write notes as needed. And as always, if you have questions or issues and need some assistance either after the webinar, or we can schedule an appointment as well too. So I wanted to welcome you to the event. We have about half the people that are logged on, so we're going to get started right now. So as you know, in California, it's a very, very difficult state to be in, and we have over 22 protected leaves. And what does that mean? Well, it means that there's potential for liability and also exposure. So definitely make sure you keep up to date with everything, but it is very, very, very complicated as it relates to employers here in California. So keep abreast of all the changes, of all the new laws, and don't be surprised if we have over 26 to 30 different protected leaves in the near future. So the goal here today is really to avoid any sort of discrimination, retaliation, harassment claims, to provide your employees with the documents they need so that they understand the various types of leaves, what's their responsibility, and also to what protects them, proof of compliance, and always staying consistent with your policy. In the end, what we tend to do is always refer back to your policy, your employee manual, your employee manual, your employee manual. So that document there should be updated, if not every other year, every year, to make sure you're staying in compliance, but also too, the biggest goal that we want to have in regards to human resources or risk management is consistency with your policy. If we're not consistent, then someone could say, well, that's not fair. And if I'm a different shade of brown, I'm a different gender, different sexual orientation, they may have an actual claim of discrimination. So in the end, I will be referring back to your policy. That's basically your employee manual, and also to your policies and procedures within your organization. So just quickly, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Tony Shibayama. I'm the Chief Risk Officer. I did a presentation yesterday and just told people I'm good and I know a little bit of everything, but my expertise really is touching on HR, safety, insurance, wellness, and our biggest focus is not only providing policies and coverage, but really helping our clients stay in compliance. So hence why we're having this webinar for you today. So managing protected leaves in California, and those of you that are in the risk management HR position, you really truly are a superhero. So this really is for all of you as it relates to information and also to updates as it relates to doing your day-to-day job. So what are the 5 most common types of leaves that we tend to see? One is going to be medical leave. A lot of people that are requesting vacation requests may fall into this bucket. Second is going to be disability leave or a disability accommodation. Third is going to be pregnancy and bonding leave. Fourth is going to be work-related accident. And 5, substance abuse or rehab leave. Those are the 5 most common types of leaves that I tend to see here in Southern California. Majority of what I tend to see is some of these actually are tied to each other. So work-related here may actually be tied to medical. Work-related here may be actually tied to disability. Substance abuse will actually be tied to disability as well, along with pregnancy would be tied to medical and disability. Yes, I understand it's a complicated web, but again, sometimes it is looking at your policy for direction, compliance, and looking back on what was done before, so that way it's done consistently time and time again. So do you have the proper documentation? So in HR, a lot of it is not what you say, but what was done and what was documented. So in looking at those 5 different types of leaves, what are the required documents or documents that are just for compliance measures, but also to CYA, but also to for education for your employee as well too. So the first one is medical leave. So when I think about medical leave, here are some of the things that I hear is my mom is sick, I need to take time off. I have an upcoming surgery. My husband has cancer, I need to take him to go to his radiation, chemotherapy. My back hurts, I can't stand, I can't drive, I have to be off for an extended period of time. Those are kind of the basic things that we tend to hear in the workplace. Now, the biggest challenge that you will have is having your managers, supervisors, and leads tell you when somebody is in need of some sort of medical leave, and that is a big challenge. So if they're not giving you notification, if they're not telling you, please train your managers so that they know what they're supposed to do. So the first thing in regards to documentation really is looking at your policy. And what I mean by looking at your policy, you can actually customize various things. But in your policy, are you an eligible employer for FMLA and CFRA? What is your calendar year? Is it a rolling backward? Is it rolling forward? Do you have a key employee exemption? Do you require people to use their PTO vacation during medical leave? All those specifics should be in your policy. If you don't have them in your policy, then it is very, very difficult to actually mandate and try to enforce it. So make sure you're updating your policy, again, once a year, every other year if you have to. But in regards to the next steps, here's where we're going to go. So somebody tells you they need to go back to Mexico. They have to be gone for a whole month to take care of their mother. Okay, so what do we start with in regards to documentation? It's going to be the rights and responsibilities form. It's going to be the medical certificate. And then after you receive that back, then it's going to be the designation notice. So where do I find those documents? Where do I get them? Where can I find the most up-to-date form? So if I were you, I'm just going to do a quick Google search, love Google, and you're going to do DOL, you're going to do FMLA, and you're going to do forms. So that's where we're going, and there we are. It's our first search there. So the first notice I talked about, our documentation, is the notice, rights, and responsibilities. This form is what you're going to be giving out like candy for people that either qualify for FMLA or do not qualify for FMLA. Also, too, as a reminder, what does FMLA protect? It protects your job, your pay, and your benefits. So it's a great leave. A lot of people don't know about it, but from an employer standpoint and also educating your managers, when someone goes out on this leave, those three things are protected. And for FMLA, we're not going to go into military leave. We're not going to go into military injury. We're just going to stick with the 12 weeks within a 12-month period. So with this form, as you'll see, it's pretty basic. You've gotten some information that it may be FMLA. You're not quite sure. So you fill out the employee's information. You're going to put on here when you were informed and when you think that leave will begin, what is it for? And you can say you are eligible, you're not eligible. Have they worked for your company for 12 months within a 12-month period, and have they worked 1,250 hours? If they have not, then you would say, no, you are not. Okay? They may be eligible, then you'll click there. Below here, keep going. Then you're actually going to say, explain as Part A, you meet the eligibility. However, in order to determine whether you are qualified, you must return the following information to us by, and it's within 15 days. Okay? I usually use the business days. And so you'll see here, what do you need? And that's going to be our second document. What should you be putting with this document? Well, the scenario is, I have to go to Mexico for a month. My mom is sick. Well, I'm going to be giving a medical cert for an employee family member, and we'll show you that as well, too. So that's going to be attached. Continue on. Who is the contact? Will you have to be using your sick leave or not? Also, two, look at your employee manual. What is your calendar period? If you don't know, believe it or not, the employee can actually pick what calendar period is best for them if you do not have it in writing. Again, keep going down, and then please provide this back to us. Okay, so this is the first step in regards to documentation. Going back to that DOL website, what I'm going to be doing is, number one is the notice of eligibility, rights, and responsibilities. Second, for this person, I'm going to click on family member serious health condition. Clicking on that. So because it's not for my employee, it's for their family member, they have two different certificates. Okay, so this is the one that you will be attaching with the rights and responsibilities. So you as the employer would fill out this first section here, and the bottom is going to be filled out here. We just recently got this question the other day. Well, what if the person is going to a different country? As long as they're able to verify and certify in whatever language, so you may have to fax, email, or send this over to somebody if they have already left the country. So again, you and I aren't doctors, but what does this allow us to do? Well, a lot of people will say, I have to leave, I have to leave, I have to leave. The nice part of this is saying, okay, you've been here for 1 year, you've worked 1,250 hours, but I'm not a doctor and you're not a doctor. I just need clarification that this person is able to actually take FMLA. I just need some verification. So this information here is going to be filled out by the healthcare provider. And again, gives you specific information. How long are they going to be out? When are they going to be out? For how long? What's the schedule look like? Is it going to be episodic? Is it going to be flaring up? So is it going to be consistently, or is it going to be maybe periodic, meaning intermittent leave? And we have a signature and date from the healthcare provider. So what is the time frame in regards to getting this back from a provider? It is going to be 15 days from the receipt. So make sure that the employee understands that this would need to be coming back to you within 15 days. And sometimes doctors do take their time, but we do sometimes want to highlight here in regards to returning it back to your employer. If you do not receive this back, you do not have to designate the leave as FMLA. Okay? Again, be consistent. Have we asked this in the past, or are you only asking this one employee that you really don't like and you think they're a liar? So therefore you're asking them for all the documentation in the world, or the last employee that asked, did we request this? Did we follow up in the 15 days? So again, keep that in the back of your mind as well too. So those are the two forms. Once you get back the certification form from the healthcare provider, the next step is going to be the designation notice. And this is what you're going to be sending back to the employee. Okay, so to and date, your FMLA leave is approved. This says we need more information, or please be advised, or again, we didn't think the certification had sufficient information, we need more, or it is not approved. Does not apply to your leave request, or you have exhausted. So this is a very important form. Why? Because it really does say we've gotten everything and we're starting your leave now. So again, it's kind of a three-step process. It's one, are you eligible for FMLA? Have you been with us for at least a year and worked 1,250 hours? Are we an employer with 50 or more employees? Two is we need some documentation from a healthcare provider. And third is the designation notice. From a payroll standpoint, you are going to want to go into your payroll system and designate that time off as FMLA leave to help you in regards to managing the time off. So again, it's a 12 weeks within a 12-month period, and is it going to be consecutive, all in 1 month, or is it going to be intermittent? You will find that out from the medical certificate. So this seems pretty simple and straight. Again, follow your policy, give the rights and responsibility, medical certificates. Now, if somebody falls sick, ill, tragedy, they go down, you call 911, they're picked up by the ambulance. Do you need to have a medical certificate because you saw and knew what happened and you're in contact with the family and they are in the hospital? That's your decision. Most people would say, you know what, I'm just going to designate it, so I'm just going to give them the rights and responsibilities and the designation notice. Also, too, we're going to tie this back into workers' comp. So we already have the notice of injury, so I'm just going to give the rights and designation notice. I'm going to skip this part right there, okay? So that's the basics for that. And again, DOL, FMLA, forms, and you'll have the most recent forms from the Department of Labor. Other forms that you should have in your, I would say, HR kit is benefit payments. So on there, you're going to check off yes or no, you're going to be continuing on the benefits, but you will need to tell the person that's on FMLA leave what their portion, if they're not using their vacation or sick or their PTO, how much they have to pay per month for their portion of the benefits to stay in place. So make sure you have just a template document for that. Leave is exhausting. This document here I love. A lot of times what I tend to see is we're not keeping track and we're not notifying the person that FMLA leave is exhausting, because some people may actually say, well, FMLA protect their benefits. After FMLA leave has exhausted, I'm putting them, or it's a COBRA qualifying event due to reduction in hours. So what we tell people is it would be nice to give them a form, a document saying, just want to let you know in 2 weeks, in 1 week, your leave is exhausting. Let us know how you're doing. This may be a COBRA qualifying event. Let us know. Also, too, in your policy, in your employee manual, do you have a request for fitness for duty? Now, obviously, this is just for your employee that's going out on leave, but is that your standard practice? Again, we don't want to pick and choose who we ask for a fitness for duty. But if you do have it in there that you require this after somebody's been gone, then have that as part, again, as part of your document process. You may speak to somebody after they've received the exhausting leave, and then they go, you know, I'm just not ready to come back. So you should have a form saying, we've received your extension request, and we will see if we can allow that, because that may be part of your personal leave, or the next bullet I have down here, it may be a disability accommodation. So what does that mean? So a lot of managers, supervisors, and leads will say, Tony, 12 weeks, 12-month period. I'm counting down the days. Fair enough. You know, it's been a hardship. We haven't had this person here. I've had to have temps and overtime. You know, can I just fire them after that 12 weeks ends? And I said, well, hold your horses, because we still may need to start the interactive process in regards to disability accommodation. If someone is not fully able to come back, do we now have to start that process of disability? And it kind of segues into our next section, okay? So if someone is not fully able to come back from leave, does a couple more weeks, does 3 more weeks allow them to now have a disability accommodation, and we go down that path? Now, do managers and supervisors and leads want to hear this? Absolutely no. But again, in taking care of your organization, protecting yourself and also the managers and the company, you do have to kind of guide them in regards to the process. So again, going back to and looking at the various leaves, start with the required forms that we receive from the government. Then go down these forms that you should have and kind of in your, I would say, HR kit of leaves management. Next, we're going to go into disability. What I'm seeing right now is a lot of people tend to be confused in regards to disability or medical leave. Which one is it? And a quick snapshot of what I do is, one, is someone going to be gone for 2-3 weeks consistently? Or is someone coming back to work and they just need a little help? So that's my distinguisher between, are we going down FMLA route or are we going down the disability route? Because disability is, I want to work, I just need some help, some assistance. So first and foremost, we're going to start off with your policy. What does your policy say? And be consistent with your policy. And what have we done before? You will have somebody that requests an accommodation. So they may say in passing or to their manager, ooh, you know what, I can't come in that early. The medication that I'm taking makes me very, very sleepy. Now, in their mind, they're not hearing ADA, FEHA, disability accommodation. They're just hearing, well, they just want to be kind of lax in regards to the attendance policy. Well, really, in fact, they could be requesting an accommodation. Somebody could be coming back from being off. They were in a car accident, and they go, gosh, you know what? My doctor says I need to have an extra rest period, that I can't lift, I can't push, I can't pull. Those might be requests for accommodations. Again, we're hoping and praying that your managers are giving this information to you so then you can start the process. Okay, so once someone has kind of started the request, then we go down to asking, well, what do you actually need? I'm not a doctor, you're not a doctor. We can't always get you a $5,000 chair. So let me get more information. And I'm going to show you a website that I use probably every week to get some guidance on that as well. But we're really going to be asking the doctor for specific information. I do not like doctor's notes that just say they'll be off. Okay. Or they need some help. Okay, what is it exactly that we can do to help them? And by the way, here is their job. Here's what they do day to day. And after that, we're going to start the interactive process. Okay, very, very important. Show that we're trying and we're working with this employee. Now, managers, I tend to hear go, how long is this going to take us? And I tell them, God forbid anything happened to you and you get hurt, you're sick, you're ill, and you're not totally disabled, but you want to come back to work. Wouldn't you want your employer to work with you? Because you're not at 100%. And frankly, I don't think any of us are at 100%. However, wouldn't it be nice if while you're recovering, I'm giving you a little bit of help? And I'm going to show that we're trying to help you. Now, at the end of the day, though, you do have to do your essential job functions. And I have a love affair with job descriptions, and so make sure you have up-to-date job descriptions with some of the things like lifting, pushing, pulling, repetitive motion, the need to drive, those types of things. Make sure you have that in there. So not to confuse you all, but I got this actually from California, and it actually shows the interactive process. I show this really to managers, not necessarily to employees, but really for them to understand, well, here's where we're at. They've asked for some help, and here's our responsibility. Here's our interactive process and what we need to do to document it. So for all of those of you that actually do the documentation, take a copy of this and show this to your managers and say, here's where we're going and here's where we're starting with the process. Also, too, what you'll see on here, it says candidates and also applicants or employee. So, yes, believe it or not, you may have an applicant that asks for an accommodation. You may have a candidate that asks for accommodation. Maybe they're hearing impaired. Maybe they can't walk upstairs. What is your responsibility? And you would have to make some accommodations. But really what this is truly here is to show that interactive process, because it is kind of a step-by-step process, and really the burden of proof does fall on you, the employer. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful website that I tend to go to all the time is called the Job Accommodation Network, and it's called askjan.org, and we're going to go there right now. So I just usually do a quick Jan, and I'm going to do sample form. So for those of you that are clients that are on the line right now, when you ask me for documents, this is exactly where I go. I look at my toolkit in regards to forms, and then I also go to these resources right here. So the Job Accommodation Network is actually a wonderful resource for you all. If any of you want a full tour of this website, I would love to give it to you. For example, disabilities A to Z. If somebody has depression, anxiety, high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever it may be, you can actually click on there. You can see the symptoms, and they actually have sample accommodations based on those disabilities. So great resource. I contact them probably once a week, and I give a doctor's note or one of these that are filled out, and I give a job description, and they will actually email back within about 48 hours or 72 hours with a list of accommodations. And we just follow that. And it shows the interactive process that my employer is trying to work with this employee. So, sample accommodation form. So, you'll see here this sample accommodation request form from form for employers. So, again, they give you all the sample information, and this is really more for kind of a taking in information. Do you have any difficulty performing, accessing, limitations, so you can have an idea of what's going on. Also, too, medical injury response. Let's see here. Approval form, determination letter. Okay, medical inquiry form. So I have a client right now that has kind of taken it upon themselves to make accommodations. And they're moving things around, they're taking away responsibilities, they're moving parking spaces. And I always told them, I said, wow, this is wonderful that you're doing this. I said, so did the doctor request this? And they said, no, we just went ahead and made the accommodations. And I said, well, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. I'm sure the employee's thinking, oh, what's going on here? But I want to get it specifically from the doctor. And so really this here helps in regards to getting that information, and you're getting it from a medical professional. Once you get this back, then I send it over to Jan, and I get an actual update from them with accommodations. Then also, too, you have here an approval form. So just want to let you know we're going to be implementing it, and this is what we're going to be doing, and here are the time frames. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, this is a lot of documentation. However, burden of proof is on you to show that you've started the documentation process, the interactive process, but also at the end of the day, if in fact someone still cannot do their job, they cannot do their essential functions, you do not have to keep them in that job. ADA and FEHA does not say, you know what, you have to make a whole new job for them. No, what they're saying is they still have to do their essential job functions. You're just giving some help for them to do that. Whether it be, you know what, they have a flexible schedule. Maybe you write out some of their tasks online. Maybe open ventilation. Those are some of the common things that I see. You may need assistance in regards to moving things, so maybe having a coworker or some sort of automated lift, or maybe even a different type of chair. So all those things that you're doing, you need to show and prove that it's part of the interactive process, and you know, the person needs to actually do their job as well too. Okay, so that's the Job Accommodation Network. Love it. They have resources, publications, and really to help you. Now, in regards to disability accommodations, a lot of people want to know, well, how long does it go on? And that is the $100 million question for people as well too. What I tend to see from some of my attorneys, they say between FMLA and disability, about a year. I know a lot of employers don't want to hear that, but it does take that amount of time to actually show proof. Another website that I go to all the time in regards to disabilities is the EEOC, and what you'll see here is information there in regards to, they have their own forms as well in regards to confirmation of requests, reasonable confirmation reporting form, resolution. The forms are okay. I truly like the ones from Jan, but that is another resource for you as well too. Next is going to be pregnancy. So what we're seeing right now is once you have someone who's pregnant and bonding, there's going to be a lot of questions. One, because it's an exciting time, but also two, it is somewhat confusing in regards to two things. Is my job going to be protected? And two, how am I going to get paid? We do have a cheat sheet kind of form for you, a poster that you can use, but it is very complicated and somewhat confusing, obviously to somebody in HR and also to somebody who is pregnant. So the first thing here is obviously follow your policy, what you have in there. Also to be consistent, what have you done in the past? The other documents we're going to be giving is the pregnancy disability leave brochure. We're going to be giving the state disability brochure from EDD, and we're also going to be giving the paid family leave brochure. And then you're just going to be starting with the leaves as well. Okay, so in regards to the leaves, in California, we have pregnancy disability leave. That will actually afford you 4 months of leave due to your disability, due to your pregnancy, okay, before the birth of the baby or to have the baby. So 4 months before, then you have bonding leave, okay, and that's going to be after the baby. So in California, you can have up to 7 months time off, okay. However, for the bonding leave, you would need to be required to work for an employer for 1 year and 1,250 hours. For pregnancy disability leave, you could just work for 1 hour and you would be able to get that leave. Is it pretty extensive? Yes. However, we usually don't see people taking a lot of pregnancy disability leave unless they're bedridden. However, any sort of prenatal appointments, morning sickness, swollen ankles, all those time off would be considered or go towards pregnancy disability leave. Most employers, I tell them what you need to do if someone is taking that time off, make sure you're notating it in your payroll system so that way you can actually eyeball it. Are they going over the 4 months or are we still on track as well? So again, PDL brochure, SDI brochure, pay family leave brochure, and then you're going to be starting with the pregnancy leave and then the bonding leaves as well too. So where do I go to get some of this information? Well, I'm going to go here to the Department of Fair Employment Housing. And this is just a screenshot of what they have there. And what you'll see is a lot of these are all brand new for this year. So what you're going to do first is I always tell people, well, let's go to pregnancy leave. So we're going to go there first, right? Pregnancy leave, that's that brochure. And they have it in multiple languages there. Then we're going to go to, this is going to be the bonding leave, right? And so we're going to give them that brochure. Then they also have their own certification for health providers. So I'll actually show you what those documents look as well. A lot of people ask, so should I use the CFRA or CFRA forms or should I use the FMLA forms? It's totally up to you, and some people have kind of a quasi form where they take both languages and just create one. So that way it's not confusing. But again, follow your policy and procedure. What do you usually use in regards to the lingo, and kind of follow the forms as well too. So I'm going to go and find that form for you. So I'm going to go to Department Fair Employment Housing, and I'll just say brochures, and hopefully this will pop up. Posters, brochures, and fact sheets. So let me see. So this is the pregnancy leave brochure that we were talking about, and it talks about the 4 months, and it talks about who would be eligible and what it's for. Also, too, it kind of goes into CFRA, the bonding afterwards. Again, these are all brand new, so update what you have, and it talks about up to 4 months of leave, and what is it for. So this is one that you're going to be wanting to give to people. Also, too, in regards to, let's go to EDD. Let's go to EDD, and you're going to want required brochures. So let's click on that. So required notices and pamphlets. So we talked about the pregnancy disability, then we talked about the EDD documents as well too. So this is going to be your disability insurance that you're going to be providing to the employee, talking about the disability insurance, okay? Then also going back to that same link, you're going to talk about paid family leave as well. So again, a lot of brochures, a lot of information, but again, it's what is needed for somebody who is pregnant. Also, too, I'm going to go back to, Department of Fair Employment and Housing, brochures. Let's see if it's in our publication. It's going to be in publications and brochures and facts. And I want to look at employment. So this is what I was looking at beforehand. So you'll see here, they do have a certification for pregnancy disability leave. That is brand new. I'm going to open up that. It was just published in June. So we've never had this before. So what does this have here? For pregnancy disability leave transfer or reasonable accommodation. So this is the employee, and you'll get it back from the healthcare provider. Again, brand new document that you can use for pregnancy disability leave. Also, too, they have for CFRA their own healthcare provider form as well. It is a little bit different from FMLA, I will say that, because it does not ask for diagnosis. It just asks for really more specifically how much time they need off. But these are all brand spanking new from the government. And then we're also going to go over some of the brochures that we were talking about as well too. So pregnancy disability leave, this was updated as of April. So that's that form we just went over. And the other form would be this right here. This was updated as well too. So the brochures. So what do we have? We have a lot of brochures we're going to be giving to people, and then also too, starting either pregnancy disability leave, or we're going to be starting the bonding leave. This requires you to have constant contact with your employee to make sure that they give you information in a timely manner as well too. So make sure that they're doing that as well. But again, this is just a quick snapshot of where to go to find all the most recent documents and or forms. Next is going to be work-related accident. So one, when you have a work-related accident, you will follow your policy. However, we do have some requirement forms and some timelines as well too. As it relates to work-related accidents, one must remind managers that they need to tell you, even if it is something minor, to tell you that something happened. We can report it in as first aid, as information only, or as a workers' comp claim, but it really is up to them to tell us or you that there was something that happened, because we do get dinged in regards to late reporting. So as it relates to work-related accidents, we have the DWC-1 form, the 5020 form. We have the Department of Industrial Relations workers' comp information. We then need to fill out Cal OSHA information, and then, believe it or not, we have to start the serious condition medical leave documents as well, if they will be out of work for a long period of time. So there are a lot of, I would say, moving parts when it comes to a work-related accident, because we're not only going to be interweaving these documents from a workers' comp standpoint, we're also going to be interweaving maybe Cal OSHA and also medical leave as well too. Is it complicated? Absolutely. And if it is complicated and if it is scary to your employee, we see a higher probability of them going to an attorney for assistance and help. So with work-related accidents, we actually have a nice little one-pager information letter saying, here's what the DWC-1 form is, Here's what temporary disability is. Here's what return to work is. Don't worry about it. If you have questions, come to us. So therefore, they don't go to the dark side, get an attorney, and then we're not able to talk to them about their work-related accident and how they're doing. So we're going to start off with some of these documents here. I got this straight from the Department of Industrial Relations, Division of Workers' Comp. And so what should I do if my employee gets sick or hurt on the job? And provide workers' comp claim form within 1 working day after the work-related illness is reported. So timing is key, correct? So make sure that you're doing it within a timely manner. I know this may be kind of tiny for you all, but this is actually on the Workers' Comp Division website, and this is actually for employees. It's actually, they put together a flow chart for the claims being processed so that they know kind of where they are. And it clearly says, needs to send you, and this is, again, they really do harp on that 1 day. Again, you can't send out the proper documentations unless your managers, supervisors, and leads tell you that something did happen as well too. So where are some of these forms at? Where would I go? Where would I need to find them and everything? So you're actually going to be going to the Department of Industrial Relations, and it's going to be under forms, your DWC-1 form, and then also to your 5020 form. And it has very specific information on what needs to be filled out and when to give it to your employees as well. Also to just your sample brochure in regards to what workers' comp is. It's all here. So very easy for you to find. And I can actually show you DIR, and let's see if it comes up for me. So we are in the Department of Industrial Relations, California.gov, and we're in the workers' comp area, and then we're in forms. And so I'm just going to click on employer forms, and you'll see the 5020 form that needs to be filled out. And then you also have your workers' comp claim form, your DWC-1 form. Always check back to see if things have actually been updated as well. So what is the requirement? Well, sorry to make you dizzy here, but this is the DWC-1 form. What you'll see here is you are required this date form provided copies to your insured or claims adjuster and employee within 1 working day. So this is very, very important. And make sure all of the forms are given to them, all 4 pages. Sometimes you will get these back, sometimes you will not, okay? But it is, make sure you have the latest and greatest, and this last version was January 2016. The other form, this is your internal form that you would be sending in to the carrier. What you'll see here as well, and some of these are done online, 5 days. Law requires 5 days. You actually get dinged if you're after 3. So try to send this in as soon as possible. Make sure. And again, go back to that website of forms to make sure you have those as well too. So again, this is the Department of Industrial Relations, Workers' Comp, and you'll have all those. So those are all of your forms that you have. Also too, if you do need any sort of brochures, you're an employer, go to Employer, you'll see Publications, and you'll see some information posters here, time of hire information, as well as too, guidebook. A lot of employers don't give that out. However, these are all publications for you as an employer. And if you wanted to request for them to give them to you, a nice glossy paper, you can request that as well too. Okay? So going back to, so that is that. Also too, believe it or not, with Cal OSHA, you are required to fill out a injury and incident report. And then also too, make sure you're logging that incident over here as well too. And there are specific time frames, so make sure that it's done in a timely manner. Again, with work-related accidents, a lot of moving parts. make sure that you work with your broker that knows kind of all the steps so you haven't missed any of the documentation. Substance abuse or need for rehab for alcohol or drug addiction. One, follow your policy. What we're seeing more often, it could be a medical leave, someone's going to inpatient, or it could be an accommodation because they're going to outpatient. So they may have to leave early because they're going to a 5-week program. So depending on, again, you may want to ask, okay, are you going to be out for a long period of time or do you need a little help? That will decipher whether you go down the path of disability or go down the path of medical leave. And then you would just follow, again, those steps of rights and notification, medical cert, designation notice, or are we saying we've received a request for accommodation, now we need some information about your accommodation, and now we will start the interactive process in regards to providing you with that accommodation. The next thing, too, I have here is benefits coverage. So a lot of people then will ask, okay, what's the next step? I said, well, really gathering your benefits information, highlighting to them as it relates to here's the cost and coverage for the mental health coverage, okay, inpatient, outpatient, hospitalization, drug coverage. Make sure you go over that. It's not really part of the documentation, but I think it helps as it relates to because somebody is going to be in need of care, and if you have health benefits, it would be something that is covered. If you have an employee assistance program, provide them to that as well. Obviously, this is a very difficult time for an employee, but if you can, again, make sure that, hey, letting you know and a reminder of your benefits coverage. Also, too, if you need some extra help, a phone call, a one-on-one that's over and above or maybe different from our benefits coverage, you also have what's called an EAP. So double check if you do currently have that available because it's nice if somebody is either suffering from mental health, had a recent death, any sort of life stresses to be able to provide that to your employee as well. Also, too, as it relates to substance abuse, what we tend to see as well is before people used to have what's considered a last chance agreement. Some employers have been sued and they've been overturned. So be careful with those if you do have it where you're using the EEOC last chance verbiage and agreement. Double check with your attorney if those will hold any water. And really what that is, you've caught somebody violating your drug and alcohol policy, and this really is their last chance. Also, too, as it relates to substance abuse, what is the difference between I have a disability, I need to go to rehab, and you catch me drinking on the job, or I am actually under the influence and you test me and I come back positive? Two different things. Again, going back to your policy. So policy being this is, do you have a alcohol and drug-free workplace? Do you have strong language that says we do not condone this? If you do, then you're going to be following your policy if you catch somebody. So if somebody is working and at break time they're drinking, or they come to work and they obviously look high, you go take them to the clinic, they get tested, they are positive. Then they have violated your drug and alcohol policy, okay? Then you would look at your progressive discipline, your disciplinary process. Is this going to be a slap on the wrist or is this going to be immediate termination? Again, follow your policy. The other is I'm coming to HR. Yes, attendance has been a problem. My work habits, I've been unsafe. I've now come to you and said, I need to take a month off because I am going to rehab. Two different things. One is violation of your drug and alcohol policy. One is asking for, potentially for a medical leave and also a disability accommodation, okay? Also, too, one note is I know a lot of employers are giving employees a lot of chances as it relates to substance abuse. I know a lot of employers that don't do drug and alcohol screenings for their new hire process. Know this, that in the end, it will come back to haunt you. We do not know when. but that person who is high or also drunk will hurt somebody or hurt themselves. Also, too, they're going to file a workers' comp. They're going to say it's unfair. And it really does look like we didn't do our job. We didn't follow the policy because we just let this slide. And we let it continue on and on again. Again, very difficult time, but reference the employee manual, reference the policy to make sure that you're not diverting from that, and also to make sure we're consistent. And again, depending on which direction, I just need a little help. I'm going to be going to meetings. We're going to go down the disability route, or are we going to be going down the route of a medical leave? So just some takeaways for those that are on the webinar here. So what I would say is make sure, some quick takeaways as it relates to the information today. Again, we did not go over the 22 different leaves, but create a leaves kit. And what I mean by a leaves kit is have tabs for medical, workers' comp, pregnancy, disability, so you have the forms already there. Make sure you get updates on the different changes. They consistently change all the time. Are they expanding? Get advice. Call people like myself, your labor attorney, to make sure. I just want to run this through you. Just want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. I have all the forms. I don't have any missteps. The dates look right as well too. Be consistent. If anything, I always tell people, at least if you're consistent, even if you're not following your policy, if you're consistent, then I can't say that you're discriminating. So we do sometimes have to say, what did we do previously? Did we give them 12 weeks off? Did we not give them 12 weeks off? Did we extend their leave for 3 years? Did we allow this person to get 5 DUIs and still be on the job site? So really, at the end of the day, we have to kind of take a big picture and say, okay, are we leading with our heart, or are we protecting the company, or are we being consistent and not giving favorites? And what you'll see there, follow your policy. The one thing that I would advise everyone is really to take a look at your medical leave policy. Make sure you have in there, do you require fitness for duty? What is your calendar year? Do you exclude key employees? For bonding leave, do I have to take it consecutively, or can I take it intermittently? That all needs to be in there. Also, too, are you requiring me to use my vacation and PTO when I'm taking leave? Make sure that's in your policy, so that way it's not up for debate, but also, too, it's clearly written in there for you to just follow the playbook. So really just let us help you. We have an expert of teams. We have a number of people that assist me as well too. If you need help with the consulting, management training, our hotline, online resources, and also to compliant HR forms, let us know how we can help you. We have all of that, and again, it is very complicated. It is very sorted, and also too a lot of liability as relates to that. We want to avoid any sort of discrimination, harassment type of claims now and also in the future. So again, just a quick question for you all. We are a full service brokerage firm, but we try to do a little bit more than just provide you with just your basic sort of policies. So please let us know if we can help with your employee benefits, workers' comp, property liability, EPLI, cyber, or directors and officers insurance. And what I will do is actually reach out to all of you to see if I can provide you any sort of assistance, if you need help with filling out any of the forms, and if I can assist you as it relates to any sort of complicated situations that you may be dealing with right now. So now we're going to go into the questions. So we have one question here. Okay, Ms. Lisa, I will make sure that I send you over the handouts. If you did not get the handouts, what I will do is I will make sure that everyone gets a copy of the handouts, and also, too, I will make sure that everyone gets a sample copy of the links that we went to today as well. So I see we don't have any questions as of now. I'm sure you may have some when we hang up, but I wanted to thank you very much for attending our webinar. Be on the lookout. Our next webinar or live event is going to be on self-funded health insurance, the do's and don'ts, and also a labor law update that we will be hosting with ADP in September. So be on the lookout for that next presentation and or invitation. I want to thank you very much for attending, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.